What's going on, you beautiful, beautiful... Oh shit, my hat is not recording correctly because my hat is green. So it's... Oh no, you can see the background through my head. Hey, you know what? That tracks. I got an empty head. It makes sense. I am quite brainless. What? Oh, that's wild, dude. Fucking green screen. I don't even know how to deactivate that green screen, bro. But look at that, dude. You can't see fucking Elon Musk. Why is that? Why is that, huh? Oh, because that's not the background. So you can only see stuff that's in the background. So if I turn on the arcane thing, oh, Silco. Yo, that's gangster. We're just trying to start here. We are right here at the reaction screen. I guess because this is a live one, what we can do is jump back out, do this. Oh wait, hold on, gotta minimize this and come here. There we go. So what we can do now is extend the window. Oh no. Oh no, if we do that, we have to make it even smaller. Well, that's not good. But you guys can see how crazy Ren's fucking chat is, dude. Like, what the fuck? That's crazy. That's so crazy. Aha! So then, oh shit, here we go.
Hey, if you want to get rid of your beer belly in time for summer, check this out. Hey, Dr. Drew, do you select?
All right, dude. So my initial thought was this is going to be the story. Vincent's going to be the story of the boy that, you know, did the mission with Ren where they got caught, or it was going to be the story of the cop. Now, I watched all the upcoming stuff leading up to that. Maybe, bro, I'm on a new kind of kick here. Maybe Vincent is the story, like the entropy that beckons in both those characters. Because we saw someone in prison and we saw someone, you know, the cop, and Ren did his first in the rule of three. So maybe he's going to tell us 2 stories or 3 stories, and all of them are going to have like, maybe Vincent is like the narrator this time. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe he's like the call to make these guys want to end it. Because it doesn't, if you watch those things, the cop just jumps to acceptance like right away. None of that makes sense. Yeah, you can just put them on top of the dryer if you like. My apologies, I forgot they were in there. Fuck, I should have watched for 30 more seconds. Look at this menacing boy.
And worked out the chemical composition of envy.
I love you. I need you more than I have the words to say.
I'm just gonna stop talking because there's gonna be something important here.
Why? But I would die a broken girl without you. Please, don't go away.
A year on from the tragic stabbing of a 14-year-old girl by a teenage perpetrator, who was then shot by police, the community remains deeply shaken.
Here we go.
And for you my lonely heart is calling. Each night I love you more and more. Day and night I seem to dream about you. I sing to you, I sing to you. Bless your heart, I just can't live without you. So come out and meet me, honey,
He's such a good actor, dude. Hey, it's Vincent. Damn, bro. You all right? Here we go. We're back. We're back, Daddy.
Come on, let's have it, you miserable prick. I will do what I want, I will drink till I'm sick to my stomach. I'm sick of the same boring songs. I am sick of these pavements I find myself on. Great Britain, I hate you. I'll say that with pride. It's my right to be violent when you fed me lies.
Okay. I mean, eventually you hit a point where you gotta do what you gotta do, dog.
Hate you, I'll say that with pride. It's my right to be violent when you fed me lies.
Disillusionment, dog.
I'm a rotter, a menace when I want to be, and I'll work for that right because nothing comes free. I have slaved all my life in a dull 9 to 5. I just rinse and repeat while I'm barely alive. Great Britain, I loathe you with murderous glee. I will do to this country what you've done to me. Destroy.
So that like where he's going down, that run that he's doing right there, I mean, that's literally like descending into madness. He did the same thing with the piano on Money Games 3. And honestly, he did the first thing in the Screech video. It does sound like this is the entropy beckoning within the individual, a person that's been downtrodden and had to face terrible stuff. I don't know why he made us watch stuff about the cop. Is this going to be another person the cop has to shoot? Like, what is... The misdirects, dude.
Destroy. I want to tear apart these buildings from the cinder blocks they stand. Leave this town in dust and rubble. Make some trouble with my hands. I won't lie, I'm fucking wasted. But I wasted all my youth, and I've stayed so damn complacent. Getting wasted is my truth. So my style of self-expression is a fist into the gut. It's throwing up upon these pavements. Shut your fucking mouth, you slut. Banished angel, I am Lucifer. My reign like Genghis Khan. Soon you will all know my name. I am the storm after the calm. I'm the victim of the victim list. The pill that makes you sick. I am chaos incarnate. Let's fucking have it then, you prick! Now the rules of the street fight are simple. It's pretty much anything goes. Keeping the street pretty firm on your feet. It pays to be sweet on your toes. And fools they have fallen for clumsy mistakes. Late to react, cop the fist to the face. Now the rules of the street fight are simple. Break that little prick's nose. Throw a punch, you swallow it, follow it, grab the collar, quick hollow tip like karate kick, martial art master, spark a bitch, park a fist on the landing strip, carnage, it finds the cartilage, karma serve like a carbonated cola on the crucifix, kill. Vincent wanna kill, who blood gets spilled, move double that rude boy, kill or be killed. Do it for the fun, blood, do it for the thrill. Blue lights, boy, run, blue lights, boy, chill.
Damn, bro. They're using a fucking drone? How are they keeping it so steady?
Absence of the light, the devil's soul, a seed in either mind. Vincent was shaken, run from the law, hide from the bacon, crouch on the floor. The cook to omit him, hate the wolf spits on him, rapes him, hits him, hits him when he's down and that shapes him. He hears the sound of a copper, hot up on his tail proper, Vincent off his rocker. Bothered by the lie that Britain sold him, what a shocker. Where greedy eat the poor, a holy war, the chosen prosper. But some are never chosen, they stay frozen in the locker. Destined to survive in 9 to 5 and watch the clock, but don't think about reality, my little happy shopper. A brand new show on Netflix to distract you from the horror. And swallow all your morals for a retweet or a follow. And shadow ban the problem man, a soul for $1. And keep the fight amongst yourself, don't think about the squalor. The systems don't impose it or the rules that we all honour. And fuck it, Vincent cooked to boiling point, he's cannon fodder. So what's the use in running, he's already in the locker. He's careless with his actions now, a clumsy motherfucker. He turned to face his fate, cause fate's a bitch and none will stop her. Richard was an officer who stood at 6'3". Was his first day back at work after a time of absent leave. Working London on the night shift, what he didn't think he'd see was our boy with a guitar, bruised and battered on his knees. But Richard lived in caution now, tormented by his past. Not so quick to find a trigger, not so fast. But Richard was a righteous man who lived inside the law. So he leapt upon poor Vincent and he cuffed him to the floor.
So Vincent is an all new character. Sam! Oh no, Richard's gonna have a tail too. All right, let's just dissect this up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Let's do this. All right, so right off the gate, Vincent is a character that has been stuck in a 9 to 5, doing a shitty job, not feeling complete with life. Anyone that's been stuck and lost in shambles can feel and understand that all the way through. That makes perfect sense. That's like a logical fucking thing to be into. Because hey, there's some of the TTP up in here. What's up, girls? TTP. All right, sorry about that. Because people need reason. This is gonna sound super critical of people, and I don't mean it to come off that way, but it might come off that way just a little bit. When I was at my lowest points in life, it's when I had lost meaning in my life. Most people have kids and they start a family and they develop meaning through growing their young. And then when they're young, go off to college and they leave the home, they struggle to find new meaning. And then hopefully they find meaning in the little things they do. My mom joined a church, but she's also desperate for that connection. So when my sister would do things with the kids, her kids, she made it her life. And my mom loves her grandchildren as much as she loves her kids, because they give her another form of meaning. Myself, when I don't have a thing to give me meaning, an external thing through, hard work and creation or happenstance or a happy accident, which, can't happen. I have to find a way to make my own. So after I lost my job, I tried to find meaning in my writing. I poured 3 months into writing 4 refined drafts of my book. And then I started the 5th to make it more acceptable to everyday readers, so that it wouldn't be as grotesque, as erotic, or gratuitous in the writing. Now, the thing that sucked was this thing that I put my meaning into. When I tried to share it with the world, no one gave a shit. So it made my meaning feel meaningless. And that's ultimately why things for me got as heavy as they did when they did, because I no longer had my job. All I had were video games and a few personal friends, and all of their lives were moving at warp speed. So when a person loses their meaning, they lose the will to live. We covered this in the Ginny and Screech song, I believe, or if it wasn't, it was What Does Your Love Look Like? Married people that lose their significant other, especially in really old age, can fall into a level of depression where they don't care what happens next. And sometimes they pass away shortly after their loved one because they've lost the meaning, the will to life. A lot of men find their meaning in their job. And when they retire their job, especially if they live alone, they usually only live about 5 years. Meaning matters. Hope matters. These are fundamental things that are core to a human experience. And when you don't have those things and you can't invent them, people will turn to nihilism. Nihilism is the thought that none of it matters. The world is a dark, terrible place. And once you fall into nihilism, there's only one way out. And that way out is through absurdism. That's how comedians are born. People that went through usually a bout of terrible depression, and they learned a way to like harness that into a form of comedy, either be self-critique or not. And you can see this present in a lot of the renegades. A lot of the renegades use humor to deflect. A lot of the renegades are people that are suffering under unimaginable weights, and they pour that power and that level of commitment into Ren because they need to. They need to put meaning somewhere. So that's why this is really cool. It's easy for anyone to fall into this, especially if you're not feeling appreciative or have someone that you can lean on emotionally in these situations.
Down by the Mississippi shore, and for you my lonely heart is calling. Each night I love you more and more. Day and night I seem to...
One thing that's really important about people that are in the throes of nihilism is they believe they can see the cracks in society. They start blaming systems of governance instead of the people in governance. They start blaming reality. And if you ever get into philosophy, you can really start to understand that no one truly knows anything. You can muddy the waters in a debate by getting incredibly hyper-focused on syntax or semantics. And then if you want to dive deep enough into thought processes, no one knows anything. Even religion is nothing more than your own perception of what the written text is inside the Bible or any other religious text. It's how you perceive these things to mean. Because the language is a man-made thing that we use to infer emotions so that we can actively try to describe to one another a thing. But those things can be different things based off of our perception, our history, and our understanding.
I love you more and more. Day and night I seem to dream.
Universal truths are not really real. Even gravity is nothing but more than a mathematical equation to dictate that it's real. But we can't truly define it as real. Nothing is certain, you know what I'm saying? And see, now I get to be somewhat accurate on something. My boy's hitting us with the classical guitar. I used to call it the Spanish guitar because I'm a little stoopy sometimes. What a little flutter there. So put yourself inside the perception of a person who's lost hope, stepping into a world, and even though it's vast and it's alive, it's cold and it's quiet. There's no one there. No one cares. No one bothers to listen. You're a stranger in your own skin. driftless through time and space. And all you see is the facade of like kindness. Kindness is fake. Doesn't feel real. It feels like people aren't being genuine with themselves. Hey, it's Kathy. What's up, girl? It looks like they stopped. Man, I recognize so many people on this. Like, it's a small fucking world. All right. And this person deleting their Twitch account based. The reason why I say all these things is because, have you ever gone to a job and the job, like, you know, they want you to appear to be, you know, malleable. They want you to appear to be kind, but then they tell you, don't talk about politics, don't swear, here are these parameters and here are these rules. And then it almost feels like you're a version of yourself playing by corporatist rules, that you're not honestly like showing your reflection. You're showing like a version of that has been purified for the world. The only time you ever really get to be yourself is either when you're with the person that you love or the people that know you best that aren't going to hate you for your unhinged shit. I believe that to be wholly true. And I stand by that statement even today, because like, even when I'm doing those things with my friends, even I still have to be like, let me tone this down just a little bit in the back of my head, because I mean, I have some unhinged thoughts. You know what I mean? And those thoughts are incredibly human. So when you're like in a position like this and your defenses are down and you're drunk, you know, your ability to like rationally function, you can slip into these things. That's why it's so much more dangerous to drink alcohol than it is to actually, you know, like smoke weed or something like that, because this drops your inhibitions. This drops like the little barrier you have against your id or your dark persona or the version of yourself that you try to like temper through rationality and thought. Alcohol can be very dangerous, especially if you're in a very dangerous place. Even more so if you're unaware of those things. If some people don't have that internal monologue, some people don't battle that version of themselves. So sometimes that's why they get crazy mad when they're drinking alcohol. And music is an entry into those things, because when we use language, we're using language to invoke feelings. When I tell you a sad story, I want you to be empathetic to the story because it gives me some feeling of clarity. Or by speaking it into the world, I make it a reality. And then I get to confront that reality. Music does the same thing, but on a more visceral level, because it not only like captures one analytical part of your brain, but it captures both. It'll capture the side of your brain that engages on some of the more mystical versions of yourself. Sometimes the only way to go into that is through more out-of-body experiences, or like shrooms or psychedelics or something like that, to like fuel the creative side of a person. That's why people usually use lo-fi music to like concentrate on homework or something, because it stimulates the mind and activates it in certain ways. So music could easily be a trigger to someone who was intoxicated at battle with their dark persona or their id.
Come on, let's have it, you miserable prick. I will do what I want, I will drink till I'm sick to my stomach. I'm sick of the same boring songs. I am sick of these pavements I find myself on. Great Britain, I hate you, I'll say that with pride.
See, he's tired of the songs. He's tired of the comfort food people use to lull themselves into a sense of security. He's tired of Britain, the system that created the environment that he's in. Instead of it being, you know, voted on or elected into, or the ideas of the people around him. It's not about the society itself. It's about the system of the society versus the people that manufactured that society. And the people that manufactured that society is every one of you. I say the same thing for Americans. I can't say that for you guys, but even in some small part, America as well, because our markets influence your markets, our products and our system of governance influence yours. So even then, I have some culpability in what's happening over the sea.
It is my right to be violent when you fed me lies. I'm a rotter, a menace when I want to be, and I'll work for that right because nothing comes free.
And that's another thing you could start doing when you've fallen into, I mean, essentially nihilism, but not really. It's more of like a selfishness of ego. It can be like contorted to another really bad argument that even I used to give in my youth, back when I was a little white knight dude. I'd be like, yo, I give you all this kindness, time. I spend all this, you know, effort on you, and you give me nothing in return. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I would use as like some kind of, you know, jab at the women that friend zone me, because it would play on their guilt. And it was a terrible argument. And then it makes you realize as you get older that, like, wow, what a subhuman piece of shit I was being, because I did those things for the gratification of doing them. I didn't earn anything by doing that. There was no, you know, there wasn't any release from doing that. That is more along the lines of me taking advantage of my kindness and their empathy. The same thing can be said to a person that's stuck in a 9-to-5, that they've devoted 10 years of their life to the business they're working in. When you start to say, well, I've sacrificed for this place, I've done this and I've done this, you owe me something back. No, they don't. You got paid already. They already gave you something back. Your paycheck. You performed a service, you got compensated. But people like to build themselves up as a victim, because by doing that, they don't have to look at what is wrong with them. They can say it's the fault of you. Not my fault. I'm doing all my stuff right. I'm the one that's been showing up to work every day. I'm the one listening to the rules, and everything just keeps passing me by. How fucking dare you? You owe me this. It's the language of someone stuck in like a selfish cycle driven by soul ego. And they're using that as a way to prop themselves up to say, I deserve this. And sometimes they do, but it's not always reciprocal. It's not something that you are guaranteed to get. You already received your paycheck. You already received a yearly raise. You already received your vacation. You've already fulfilled your end of the bargain. You've already gotten preferential treatment. Maybe you have the best shift because you're the hardest worker and you get to decide when you come and go. You are already receiving benefits from that extended effort. The rest of it is not earned that way. Now, there is to be said that like corporations and things do bad things to people in those situations, as so do people in like loving relationships. But it's a dangerous thought process to fall into, because it sticks you squarely in a bad spot where there's no self-reflection necessary.
I'm a rotter, a menace when I want to be, and I'll work for that right because nothing comes free. I have slaved all my life in a dull 9-to-5. I just rinse and repeat while I'm barely alive. Great Britain.
And also, while I'm barely alive, some of that is his fault. You didn't have to go home and get drunk and watch TV. You could have poured yourself into creative outlets. You could have gone out and talked to people. You could have done the things that pushed you out of that. Blaming the system or the people in that system absolves you of responsibility. It's a dangerous thing to do.
Rinse and repeat while I'm barely alive. Great Britain, I loathe you with murderous glee. I will do to this country what you've done to me.
And so you build up the negative personifications of the things that have happened to you into a bigger and more grand thing than they really are. What really happened to this guy? He had a shitty job and he was depressed and people didn't care. Well, was he an asshole to people? Did he push those people away? What things did he do in his life that made him in the situation he's in? He's not entirely at fault. The system does play a role, and the people around you play a role. They certainly do, because we all do. But we're only hearing a fraction of this man's story. When a man slips into these things, people usually have a good reason to start distancing themselves from you. Look at BB, right? Some could probably hate her for distancing herself from Ren, but why? At the end of the day, she's a person and she has needs, wants, and desires that need to be met. And you can't spend your life fixing somebody else or attempting to help them fix them themselves. It's good that she helped him as much as she did, and that's a wonderful thing. It's good that she even worked with him afterwards. The important thing that matters is that regardless, she's not necessarily wrong for taking some kind of ownership of herself.
Great Britain, I loathe you with murderous glee. I will do to this country what you've done to me.
So as the music gets more like descending into chaos, even the camera is swooving around like he's drunk. It's actually brilliant.
I want to tear apart these buildings from the cinder blocks they stand. Leave this town in dust and rubble. Make some trouble with my hands. I won't lie.
Yeah, this is a man entirely possessed by his dark persona. He's a dangerous man to be around. He's a man that's given up hope. And every one of us have this person inside of us. Just look at that guy who like fortified a tractor and destroyed an entire city hall or whatever. When a man is pushed to his limits, they do dangerous and devastating things. That's why democracy was invented, by the way, so that we wouldn't overthrow governments with murder and bloodshed, so that we can vote out people that we disagree with or that we think that they're doing a bad job. We gave power to the individual. Now, people take that power for granted because only like 30 or 40% of the people in any given country typically participate in elections. But, you know, that's probably because most of the time they're too busy with, you know, making money or working or God knows what else.
Leave this town in dust and rubble. Make some trouble with my hands. I won't lie, I'm fucking wasted. But I waste.
That's one reason why I always like people that are like fucked up. Hell, gun to my head, you know what I mean? Like if you were to fascist or like radical Marxist Leninist, I'd pick a fascist any day of the week. Because at least with a fascist, I know where I stand. I know what the rules are. It's out in the open. It's not hidden. The reason why, at least even evil people that have dropped all of their masks and all their stuff, you know what they're saying. There's no like game. There's no manipulation. It's just, this is it. Like a fascist will come in and say, this is what we're doing. You got a problem with it. I'll fuck you up. Like a Leninist or a Marxist will come in and be like, we're going to empower you to make the best decision. And, you know, we're going to help you do all of these things. And we're going to give you everything you need to succeed. But you have to give us total control. One of them is hiding behind a veil of decency. One is hiding behind the good intentions that lead to destruction. at least one of them is being honest. And that's why one of my favorite things, at least about a Nazi or a racist, is they'll come out and just tell you what they think. You don't have to guess. There is no, well, what do they mean by this? You don't need that. You could just, bam, at least I know this guy's a piece of shit, and I know where I stand with this guy, and he knows where I stand with him. The lines are clear. Nothing is muddy. But with the others, they're called the Vanguard Party. Like, they'll just reach in and corrupt things from within, and then like change it while pretending to be your friend and your ally, and then boom, now all of a sudden you're the enemy. And then when you're the enemy, they treat you no differently than the fascist did. The fascist is the same thing as the Leninist or Marxist-Leninist with less steps. Just, if you're gonna be evil, let me know you're evil. I don't need the back and forth.
Tear apart these buildings from the cinder blocks they stand. Leave this town in dust and rubble. Make some trouble with my hands. I won't lie, I'm fucking wasted. But I wasted all my youth, and I've stayed so damn complacent. Getting wasted is my truth. So my style of self-expression is a fist into the gut. It's throwing up upon these pavements. Shut your fucking mouth.
Man, as a man, you're caught at an impasse. You have to defend your lady's honor. That's a rule, man. If someone wants to get out of line and step up to you like that and hit your woman, you have to like, hey, bro, what the fuck? The problem is, if you do that, you never know where a person is. And a person could always be on the verge of snapping. You could just be the final straw to break the camel's back. And it's how conflict arises.
It's a fist into the gut. It's throwing up upon these pavements. Shut your fucking mouth, you slut. Banished angel, I am Lucifer. Might reign like Genghis Khan soon.
As much as I don't like to defend the radicals on either side, there is something to be said about both of their allegiances. Genghis Khan nearly conquered the fucking world, dog. He might have like solely repopulated the planet after he murdered so many people. The problem with these things is they get shit done. The issue with both fascist and Marxist-Leninists is that they can't maintain a thing. They can get it done, but then it crumbles because the needs of people aren't met, and then eventually these things are overthrown. Which is why democracy has ruled the way that it has for so long. Again, you know, it's a wild concept.
It's a fist into the gut. It's throwing up upon these pavements. Shut your fucking mouth, you slut. Banished angel, I am Lucifer. Might reign like Genghis Khan. Soon you will all know my name. I am the storm after the calm. I'm the victim of the victim list. The pill that makes you sick. I am chaos incarnate. Let's fucking have it then, you prick. Now the rules of the street fight are simple. It's pretty much anything goes. Keeping the street pretty firm on your feet. It pays to be sweet on your toes. And fools they have fallen for clumsy mistakes. Late to react, cop the fist to the face. Now the rules of the street fight are simple. Break that little prick's nose. Throw a punch, you swallow it, follow it, grab the collar, quick hollow tip like karate kick, martial art master, spark a fist, park a fist on the landing strip, carnage, it finds the cartilage, karma serve like a carbonated cola on the crucifix, kill. Vincent wanna kill, who blood gets spilled, move double that rude boy.
See, I got into a debate one time with a buddy of mine, and it actually fractured our entire Discord group of the Lost Game crew. Fighting is always dangerous. The same things that I've been talking about leading up to this apply there. We were talking about when a woman beats her boyfriend, that's terrible. Now, my argument was that if a woman puts hands on you like that, I mean, if something happens to her, that's on her. And her argument was, well, you're bigger than her, so you shouldn't do that. It's like, okay. Why? Well, by doing that, you're saying that it's okay for her to assault him? And she's like, well, no, it's not okay for her to assault him, but it's just, he's not going to pose any damage. It's like, that's an quantifiable thing. Like, if you are at the point where you're trying to fight somebody, one, it always boils down to kill or be killed. Like, if it's an actual fight, you do not know what you're doing when you throw a punch to another person. No amount of training will tell you that. You could have trained in a fucking dojo or an MMA guy for a long time. Any one of them will tell you that violence is never acceptable. Most people that study the form of any form of art, so, you know, in any of the arts, it's almost always in an attempt to understand self-defense. But even then, it's not like you're gonna go stop somebody. Like, if someone has the intent to kill you, it can go south very quickly. Even if someone smaller than you in size lands a really good hit or hits a vital spot, can do immeasurable damage. People need to learn, especially in relationships, that throwing a punch at someone just because you're mad at them means you are a fucking child. You should never put hands on your significant other under any circumstance. One, if a woman hits you in the back of the head, she can hit it at the right angle and actually cause you to fucking die. What if you're someone that suffers from an undiagnosed issue or a breathing problem, or you have like a weaker skull because of something? Who knows what it could be? Maybe like you're on the verge of a heart attack and the extra trauma could push you over. There are so many unknown variables that can go into that, so that when anyone throws a fist at you, you should assume they have the intent to kill you, because that's a potential outcome by throwing the fist. Even if it's a small chance, it's a chance they were willing to take to strike you. And it should be treated as a very important thing. It's not necessarily about the likelihood. We're not cops. We're not measuring whether or not a threat is credible. Like, if a woman threatens me and I'm 3 times her size, likely she's not going to do any damage to me. But she doesn't need to beat me with her hands. She could just shoot my ass or pay someone to stab me, or she could fuck me up herself. All of these things are unknown variables that demand further, like, investigative knowledge. But to say that a woman attacking a boyfriend is okay because she doesn't pose a threat doesn't take into consideration the damage that a person can do to another person. You can kill yourself by walking up your stairs and lightly tapping your head on something when you make a slight tumble. You hit the side of your head on a table. You're done. You're fucking done. People are fragile. I can't. It's insane.
Punchies follow it, grab the collar, quick hollow tip like karate kick, martial art master, spark a fist on the landing, straight carnage, it finds the cartilage, karma serve like a carbonated cola on the crucifix, kill. Vincent wanna kill, who blood gets spilled, move double that rude boy, kill or be killed, do it for the fun, blood, do it for the thrill, blue lights boy, run, blue lights boy, chill.
Now, the lesson here is defending your woman's honor worth your life? Because he was already gone. It was already over with. You could have just moved on with her. You know what I mean? Yes, we all want the person to defend our honor at all costs, but now he's gonna potentially could be dead and she could be without him. I'm pretty sure she'd rather have him around. I don't know. Maybe I could be mistaken. What a shot, man. a fucking soulful guitar, dude. So much is expressed just through that. Like through those notes alone, you get like quiet contemplation for the action that he's done. And the realization of the weight of his choice. Jesus. Haha. Oh.
So it goes in the absence of the light.
My boy's singing the blues
The
right
devil
now.
sows a seed in either mind. Vincent was shaken, run from the law, hide from the bacon, crouch on the floor. The cook to all made him hate the wolf spits on him, rapes him, hits him, kicks him when he's down, and that shapes him.
As a person that's been shafted by the world constantly, I feel that so wholeheartedly. I had to apply for a passport 2 days ago, and before I even got like verification that I would be able to send it, or before I even got to send in my documents, they took 96 of my dollars. And then they're like, at every possible turn, they're like, hey, if you pay us another $50, we can expedite this. You pay us another $100, we'll put you at the front of the list. Hey, if you pay an extra $60 now, if there's an issue with it, you don't have to write us a check later, because if there's any issues with the documentation I provided, then they're going to make me refill it and then pay them another $94. Now, that's not a bad thing on its own. It's just a ridiculous system. But you put that up and stacked it up against 36 years of bullshit. Oh, it's another chapter in my developed backstory that makes me want to lose my fucking mind. And then my car today, oh my god, dude, trying to get the fucking van started because I wired something incorrectly. I almost blew up on my fucking face. Went to change the battery, electrocuted myself. Jesus Christ.
Lord, the cook to all made him hate the wolf spits on him, rapes him, hits him, kicks him when he's down, and that shapes him. He hears the sound of a copper, hot up on his tail proper, Vincent off his rocker. Bothered by the lie that Britain sold him, what a shocker. Where greedy eat the poor, a holy war, the chosen prosper.
So what he's saying here is very true, that corporations devour you. Those that want stuff from you will use you until they get what they want, and then when you no longer fulfill the cost in their life, they will kick you to the side, which is why I always talk about transactional relationships. But it's not the whole story. You have to let yourself get taken advantage of. Sometimes. That's why you have to define meaning. That makes the weight of the world easier to bear. You need that meaning to weigh through life. Hope is a poor man's fuel.
And sold him, what a shocker. Where greedy eat the poor, a holy war, the chosen prosper. But some were never chosen, they stay frozen in the locker. Destined to survive in 9 to 5 and watch the clock, but don't think about reality, my little happy shopper. A brand new show on Netflix to distract you from the horror. And swallow all your morals for a retweet or a follow. And shadow ban the problem man, a soul for $1.
And see, that's the crazy thing. So a lot of us will sit here and bash greed, and we'll bash the corporate world. We'll bash all of the things that we believe are the systemic issues that cause our life to be the way it is. But what Ren is doing here is holding up a mirror to every one of those people as well. Because by bitching about it and using the internet to bitch about it, we are becoming complacent in it. By coming out and saying, greed bad! Corporations bad! We're distracting ourselves and allowing it to further propagate. Us sitting around bitching about these things prevents us from fixing these things. It makes us terminal. It makes us... It's like whenever you ever had an employee that all he does is bitch no matter what you give him? I had an employee, technician, young feller. He bitched that he didn't get enough work and he got stuck on oil changes. So then when I started selling brakes and shocks and other stuff, he would bitch about getting those because he didn't think they were gravy enough for him. That's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? You got tired of oil changes? I told you I want to give you a shot. And now you're bitching that I'm giving you a shot. And then instead of just doing the job, you're going to come in and argue the cost of the labor when quite clearly I'm going to charge the type of labor that needs to get the job done. It's not your place to come in and bitch about these things. This is why you don't get any work. I can give one of those tickets to another tech and he'll just go and do it. You don't earn that right to come in and argue with me about how much you're getting paid. Now, if you want to look up your book time and see that I underpaid you, then obviously we can go over the book time together. And if I opt you some hours, that we can do that. But coming up and arguing before the job is done, before the work is even done, while the customer is present, isn't helping anybody. And all you're doing is wasting the customer's time. We have 5 more fucking work orders to get to. What are you fucking doing? We can have this conversation at the end of the day and go over this stuff in great detail. But right now, you are not performing your job function. What the fuck? People make a lot of the beds that they're in. And instead of getting something done, we spend time bitching about it. This is why I push back so much on greed bad. This is why I push back on these type of ideas, because they further facilitate the problem. My stance is greed is bad, and we should work on ways to negate the negative effects of all greed. We should work on ways and clearly define these things. But by sitting around complaining about greed, we're not doing anything. Trying to convince other people that they need to get off their ass and try to do something rather than complain about a thing is the core tenets of that point. Ren is saying it here. Here's another song. Here's another TV show. Here's another fucking drink. Here's an episode of fucking American Idol. Turn your brain off. Don't think. Complain. Absorb. Buy. Purchase. Fall into the trend. It's all the same thing. It's not greed. It's people. People perpetuate that greed through their inability to fucking move past it. We need to work toward a thing, and the way that we do that is by quit bitching about it, admit that there's a problem, and then look for either a reform or tear it down. That's how you do it. You can't just have an enemy. Greed can't be the enemy. Greed can't be just the cause. There's a root to what causes that thing to become problematic, systematic in its design that further perpetuates hatred and animosity for other people. All things are born from a kernel of things. There's a first world issue that needs to be solved in order to solve these things. It's why the gun debate goes nowhere. Well, guns don't cause problems and violence. They are not the root of the problem. And then the debate just gets down into semantics and nothing happens. And then no one's learned anything and we don't move past anything. Fuck. I hate talking about greed on this channel. I hate it so much.
Stopper, a brand new show on Netflix to distract you from the horror and swallow all your morals for a retweet or a follow and shadow ban the problem man, a soul for $1 and keep the fight amongst yourself, don't think about the squalor. The systems don't impose it or the rules that we all honour. And fuck it, Vincent cooked to boiling point, he's cannon fodder. So what's the use in running, he's already in the locker. He's careless with his actions now, a clumsy motherfucker. He turned to face his fate, cause fate's a bitch and none will stop her. Richard was there not.
Could you imagine being this cop? First day back on the force. He went through months of PTSD and internal trauma for shooting Screech, a man that he had to shoot because he would have killed him if he didn't. A man who had safety stripped away. A man that even though he was in a position of power, that he's still human and he felt endangered for his life, actual human fear. And then people would look to a situation like this and be like, well, the cops are bad. It's like, no, the cops are people. Cops are not bad by design. They are not oppressive force by design. Their design is intended to help people. And they are supposed to keep psychopaths in check. People like Vincent. People that have snapped. Now, maybe the systems and the people around Vincent helped create Vincent into what he was, but Vincent did a lot of this to himself. And to be a part of that system, people automatically tar and feather you as bad when it's not the case. And it's so cool to see Ren give a moment to Richard where he's not just a piece of shit. I honestly thought Richard was going to die here, or have to kill this guy, kill Vincent. So it's really cool that it didn't happen. You know, it's cool. But like, could you imagine being in the situation again? It's like you've been in a relationship and you were like viciously cheated on and someone broke your trust and you finally tear down your walls and let another person in, or they do the exact same thing at your most vulnerable moment.
He's careless with his actions now, a clumsy motherfucker. He turned to face his fate, cause fate's a bitch and none will stop her. Richard was an officer who stood at 6'3". Was his first day back at work after a time of absent leave. Working London on the night shift, what he didn't think he'd see was a boy with a guitar, bruised and battered on his knee.
The sequel, next time on Dragon Ball Z. All right, look. It's cool that both of these people are taking their trauma in different ways. Vincent took his trauma and it made him clumsy. It made him worthless to society because he's so drowned by hate, he's willing to destroy the world that he's in. Meanwhile, Richard here, his trauma helped him formulate a better version of self so far. Now we'll find out more in his story, but instead of shooting this guy, he risked his life to try and stop him, knowing that full well he doesn't have control of the situation, but he's going to rely on his instinct and training and hope that he can build a better world. One could say he's foolish for playing coy with his life, but after already taking Screech's life, he doesn't know if he can do that again. This is what I mean by reform. This is what I mean by taking a thing that we know is bad and using it to make you better. When you have to look at the negative consequences of your action, it informs you who you maybe ought to be. Like Joseph Arthur once said in his song In the Sun, when you show me myself, I will become someone else.
Didn't think he'd see was a boy with a guitar, bruised and battered on his knees. But Richard lived in caution now, tormented by his past. Not so quick to find a trigger, not so fast. But Richard was a righteous man who lived inside the law. So he leapt upon poor Vincent and he cuffed him to the floor.
Now this is where a good conversation can happen between the law and people. I like to consider myself someone who is righteous and I live within the confines of the law. I value the law as a good social contract made by our society to help keep us in check and keep our dark impulses, just that, impulses, that we don't have to listen to because we have a common understanding of one another and our general need for society and how we have to work together. The law cannot answer all things, because as all things, you can't base your morality on law. We have moral oughts and then laws, but by and large, they largely intercept. So I typically try to use the law as a way to like ground myself out. But let's say it came tomorrow that it's legal to own people again, slavery. I don't like that law, actually. So that law isn't going to infer me as a person. This is one of the best critiques of my worldview, because in my worldview, I believe in individual autonomy. I'm a liberal. I believe that we should have a government that helps out those that can't help themselves, but I believe in individual rights. I believe in property rights, and I believe in the Constitution, and I believe that all of us have the moral ought to live the fullest and most meaningful life that we can, as long as we are confined to not pushing that on other people or hurting other people. I can't break into your house and tell you to live your life. I have to adhere to your property rights, to your individual autonomy, and I cannot go against those things. That is one of the core tenets of liberalism. It's the main difference between liberals and libertarians, because libertarians believe all of that without, the social safety networks and government. Libertarians are more of an anarcho version of a liberal. But most of the core tenets in both of these groups are the same, so they often get confused for one another. But let's say you're someone who believes in religious command theory, and you believe that your core tenets come from the Bible. You would say to me, well, I use the law to determine right from wrong, or I infer right from wrong from the network, the systemic network of laws that we as a society have built up. But those laws are democratic by design. They can be stricken from the record based off of votes. If enough people demand a law be changed, the law can be changed. So if enough people agreed with the South and they won the war, our country would be radically different today. And the laws would reflect that. So then how would I reconcile that difference? I don't have a religious fucking command theory to like sparse these things out. I would have to infer things based off of my own understanding of humanity. And this is one of the biggest critiques of people that are liberals that believe in individual autonomy. Because I don't have a book written from a desert, wasteland that tells me right from wrong. Now, the problem is, and my retort to that is I would say I just don't know. I don't know necessarily right from wrong, but we have an understanding of moral oughts throughout societies across multiple different countries. So it's safe to assume that there's an understanding that these moral oughts are correct. And regardless of your religion or your place in the world, that we should adhere to something very similar to these things. But then they'd be like, well, then we got you. This is why you should believe in God. And it's like, hold on, though, because you don't believe that either. You believe that the Bible states this, but if I ask you to reconcile that fact with another person that reads the Bible that has a different interpretation of the Bible, you can't, because you're no different than I am. Though you might be espousing to the idea of like a religious section that points these things out, the issue that you're going to have is that it's not necessarily the same thing. Like what's written in the text is vague enough for other people to infer different things. So by that design, you're doing the same thing I am. I'm looking to the wealth of societies that have differences in their opinions, and I try to find out what those differences are, or where the similarities are, and then I can build a cohesive understanding of the human condition through that process. Through different people learning, teaching, and doing other things in unicism, I can build a pretty reasonable understanding of the human condition based off of my own perception. But religion does the same thing. It's just everyone's now reading a text instead of looking at the wealth of societies. No matter who you are, no matter what you believe, you don't know anything. That's the point. We're not supposed to know anything. We are inferring from our own perspective and our own ego as our defense mechanism to interpret the world and the universe. Doesn't matter what lens you look things through, you're looking through your own filter.
On poor Vincent, and he cuffed him to the floor.
Don't break the guitar. Oh, there was just a camera operator. Now, everything I could have said could go out the window literally in the next part, because obviously, is there something else here? I'm going to watch it just to find out. But obviously something else could change in Vincent's tale, but what a fucking story. I initially thought Vincent was going to be the boy that helped him do that job, or the cop himself. Now, the cop was tied to it, so my initial predictions were wrong. But I did say at the beginning of this video that I think Vincent was going to be the entropy. So I was incorrect in stating that. He's not the entropy, but he was a man succumbed to that entropy. Fucking wild. Fucking wild. Awesome. Another awesome one. We're going to switch to full cam because there's a lot to talk about, man. This is a really good video. I'm pretty sure this video is going to offend some people, and I don't mean it to be that way. These are just my thoughts that I wrestle with every day. And they're all filtered through my own perspective, through my own lens of viewing the world. I seek to look into the duality of humans and the way that we live our life. That duality matters. We matter as people. But just as we matter, we can be the very things that destroy and cause insurmountable harm to the world at large. We must always be careful not to paint things as wrong or right or good. We should see them as a pendulum, and then we should always view the world through the lens of outcomes. Intent matters, but outcomes are the final goal. If your intent is pure, but your outcome is dangerous, then we shouldn't do it. Everything comes at a cost, and laws are nothing more than force. But for all of the terribleness of our world, there are so many moments that are beautiful, that are worth living for, that are worth fighting for. I mean, I've only recently started coming around to that world of thinking, and that world of thinking has probably saved my life. But I feel like I'm one of the few people on that island willing to defend that. A lot of people never want to put the mirror to themselves. It's hard. Really hard, man. It's dangerous. No one wants to hear that even those that don't have things, that they could still be being selfish people. Selfishness isn't just tied to greed. And selfishness isn't entirely bad. The need to eat is selfish, but it's not bad to eat. You have the right to life. You need to live. Chasing that desire isn't a bad thing at all. Wanting to earn money isn't a bad thing. You need money to like pay bills, keep a roof over your head, keep people you love fed. But that being said, when does it hit a threshold where it's bad? Well, that's an easy one to understand, is when you start to be abundant with your resources and not share them. Okay, well then where's the threshold for abundance? When does that hit in? That's all going to be based off of perception, based off of individual thought, based on where a person thinks things are. It matters because what one person might consider abundance, another person might consider, saving for a college degree for their kid or get them into college. Could be a rainy day fund, setting aside something in case something bad happens, planning for the future. But that's not a necessity. It's not a need. Well, so then we can't define it anything that goes beyond necessity or need, because the necessity only takes care of your necessary things now. You can't, planning for your future isn't a necessity. Okay, well, that muddies things up because now we can't get to a clear, concise idea where something is. And now you have people that are on the far left that say, well, it's the billionaires that are the problem. Dog, it should be the millionaires. What do you mean? Oh, that's right, because too many of them are millionaires now, and they don't want to be part of the problem. But you don't need to be a millionaire. No one needs $1 million. $1 million to me would be excessive. But then when you think about, oh man, to send my kid to school, I need $250,000. If they want to go to school out of town or out of, state, and they need to live at that school, and they need 4 years of university. Shit. These are complicated things that require complicated thoughts. And when then you hand wave them away by saying this bad or this good, you're doing yourself a disservice. And you're doing the people that exist with these things a disservice. The human condition is way more malleable than that. We're all more malleable than that. I was so happy that I wasn't going to talk about this shit anymore, because every time I do, I lose subscribers. And I don't want to fucking lose subscribers. That's the whole opposite of the game. But I have to speak my truth when it pops into my head. And Rin, you son of a bitch. You make me think. Let's give everyone something to laugh at after I've been ranting and raving. Look. I got really baked off of Reclaim and that chocolate bar I was talking about. And I made the mistake of trying to cut my hair. Oh, it is not good. Oh man. It's not good. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, but it's so hot. It's so hot. Oh, and I didn't even get the back right, dude. Look at that, dude. There's a clump of hair. Oh man. Well, it's cool to see all this again. I'll see you guys in the next video. I probably have one more to do tonight. It isn't tied to Ren, and then we'll do another Ren video tomorrow. I have 2 of them planned. And then Saturday. Weren't they in the car? You drove up the lot? All right, anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. For those of you that are still subscribed after that, I love you. And for those that you left, I still love you. Sad to see you go. Mwah! Whoops, I hit play. Whoops. Oh, wait, I forgot how to turn this thing off. Fuck the game.